On today's show, we'll get an update on a local ministry and a look back on memories of 9/11. All that and more coming up now on Joy in the City True Stories. Joy in the City is a program highlighting people and organizations having an impact in our city. All too often, we hear about the problems and the dysfunction in our culture, but we are coming with a different approach as we take a look at the good things that are going on right here in our community. I'm Bethany Marshall, and you're about to see what God is doing in our city. We want to thank our program sponsors, Park Home, for the donation of furniture used in our studio, Made by Vogel for the contribution of many props in our studio, and our platinum sponsor, Harry's Construction, for their ongoing support of Joy in the City. The Door is a ministry designed to reach local at-risk youth by providing 3 essential needs in the community: feeding them, giving them a family to be a part of, and helping them find faith. Recently, we sat down with Dave Taylor, who is the director of this ministry, as he gave us an update on what is happening.
Well, Dave, thank you for joining me again. We first talked to you in reference to The Door as one of our first shows on Joy in the City. Several years ago, I think about 4 years ago at this point. So I want to do an update because a lot has happened since we first did that show. So first of all, let's just talk about The Door. What's going on with The Door in the last couple of years? What has occurred since we last talked?
Well, down at The Door, one of the greatest things that has happened for us is a duplication. One of our former kids who came to a camp as a kid at 16 years old to manage game equipment, grew up, got married, got called by God, went to Bible school, seminary, graduated, worked in local church youth ministry, but realized there were so many kids on the street in his town, dozens of them, and his church was downtown, piling up on the streets, on the church steps. And he calls me and goes, I've been asked to get rid of these kids. How do I get rid of them? And I'm like, invite them inside. And that turned into over 125 different kids a week coming into the church and things. And he's like, there needs to be a place for these kids. And he felt called to actually, by faith, walk away from his youth pastorate and say, let's start a door here in our town. And we've worked together. We have a new door. It's in a town called Northeast, which is in Northwest Pennsylvania. But it's right outside of Erie. It's a town very much like Tyrone, I would say, very much like Tyrone. And a man in the town offered to buy us a building. He said, I'll loan you $80,000 and no payments for a year and better interest than a bank would give you, because he goes, it would be easier to do this if you had a building, wouldn't it? And we both of us chose, Bill and I both chose the same building. We weren't working together. We were just looking online and we chose it. It turned out to be a great location. It was a corner in a neighborhood that's been very needy. It's been an issue with law enforcement in the town, and the town couldn't be more happy that we're there renovating and making a place for the kids. So it's still physically being renovated, but we've already been open, and 30, 40 kids a day are coming in. They just finally got a dining room table to feed them at. And so I'm excited because duplication, I think every small town could use a ministry like we have, particularly because of the fatherless issue and single motherhood and after-school kids being home alone. Giving them a place to go, giving them a place to eat, be part of a family.
Yeah.
Back in Bellwood, we're still going strong. It'll be 19 years in August. We just passed 140,000 meals. Feel like I should go outside and change the numbers on a sign like McDonald's or something. And we're gearing up for summer camps coming back because COVID is done. So I'm excited about having a restoration of our camp program. And we've had a young men's home for about 3 years. We have had our first graduates. We have one who, at the time of this taping, is going to be going to the Navy in a couple days. And he was homeless, when we got him. And now he's become a young man. He's worked and he's joining the Navy. We're excited about that. And we just opened our young women's home and took our first 2 young ladies in who will be graduating high school tonight, and they're going to make it. One of them starts their first job on Friday and the other starts on Monday. We couldn't be more pleased with having these programs, having these buildings donated, and on top of all of that, we've had a food ministry that has increased quietly behind the scenes. We didn't intend it, but in the past year, through corporate donors like HOSTESS and Walmart and others, we have given away over $1 million in groceries all over Blair County and shipping surplus up to Erie County through partner ministries like the Reapers, the Rescue Mission, American Rescue Workers, and any other group that wants to work with us. I mean,
Wow.
if you're hungry and you need food and we have it, God wants us to get it all out there and share these resources. And we've been blessed to work with some great other ministries to reach kids and to feed people in need.
So let's revisit, what is the door? The original ministry, what is the door?
The door was created in 1998. It was opened, and it was there to provide an after-school home for kids. There was a need to get these kids off street corners, off the street, and instead of driving by and swearing at them, let's create a place that these kids could go. Sometimes home isn't safe. Sometimes nobody's there. Sometimes it's dysfunctional and a kid just needs a place of peace. And so we opened up, and through that opening and being there, we discovered the real problems. There's a learning curve, and the real problem in our country, we talked about it in a different segment, is fatherlessness. So what does a father do? What needs to be provided? From mentoring to, we started doing family dinner every night, and really family dinner wasn't just about poverty and feeding kids, because not all the kids need the food, but it's about giving you a meal to process your life experience with somebody who knows Jesus, and somebody who loves you, and somebody who will be there every single day, the same person. What's going on in your life? What do you need help with? What are you working through? And just being able to be family. You know, we have 3 F's, food, family, and faith. If you want to get kids inside, food's good. Kids always eat, you know? And so we put a family-based meal out every day, and our goal is to role model family to them, so that then, when I open my mouth and talk about Jesus, I have earned the right to be heard. This isn't just a shotgun approach. This is an intentional, I will build a relationship with you. I will love you until you trust me. And then I want to share with you the greatest love of my life, Jesus Christ, who can change yours.
Yeah. So you went from the door, which, as you explained what it is, to the young men and young women's homes, which is an expansion, but still almost totally different. Talk a little bit about the heart behind that and what they are.
Well, the natural progression of the door kept a lot of kids who were at risk from dropping out of school, becoming antisocial, criminal, whatever problems. Sometimes just having that after-school place to go is enough. And for the majority of the young people that we work with, it was. But we are also realizing there's some high school seniors that we know, and they're not going to make it. The home that they live in is so dysfunctional, they'll never get a job. Nobody will help them ever get a car. Nobody will help them become a functioning adult. In fact, all the work that we've put in is going to get lost. And we love these kids. They're like sons and daughters to us after all these years. And I got angry that there was no safe place for them to finish growing up. If they had trouble with the law, I could get them a place to live. If they had mental health issues, I could get them a place to stay. If they were criminals, if they'd done everything wrong, there was all this help out there for them. But if you're a good kid from a rough background and you made it, you graduated high school, you would have to be homeless, according to our government housing folks, 6 months before they'd get to you. If you're a young man, I was told honestly they would never get to you. Single young men never wind up getting homes. Government assistance, because you get moved to the end of the list. If a family comes in, you get shoved to the bottom. If a woman comes in, you get shoved to the bottom. And that made me angry that we're going to wait until a young man's life is thrown away and he has problems before we house him, before we help him, before we help try to give him a future. So the LIONHEART program came about from an angry day where I was just mad that we were going to throw away the life of a young man and not help him until he has a problem. And God honored that anger, because I think it was a righteous anger. And we purchased a home, we raised money, we created a program. I thought about this for 7 years in my head and on paper. How do we do this in a way that's going to launch a son? Not just be a homeless shelter. We are not a homeless shelter. You come, we are going to we're going to launch you into life, but you're going to come in and you're going to have to work hard and learn hard and grow and puts your own sweat in, put your own financial contribution in, but we will not give up on you if you won't give up on us, and we'll get you out there. And then that turned into, I kept getting asked, where's the young ladies' home? When are you going to do one of these for young ladies? And I started with the young men because there was so little help for them, and the young ladies get to the head of the line for what little help is out there. But 2 years ago, we were given a home right before COVID hit. And during the COVID crisis, most of our young men at LIONHEART were laid off. So I put them to work. You're going to learn carpentry, plumbing, wiring, whatever needed to happen. And they remodeled the home for girls and learned valuable life skills, didn't lay around. They may have gotten unemployment, but they worked hard during that time. And we were able to recently open our home for young women and take in our first residences.
And this is a place that they actually stay, not just an after school or temporary home. They actually stay there for
Oh yeah, you have to stay minimum of 18 months,
okay,
maximum of 24, so you've got a 6-month, we call it launch window, where it takes a while to find a place to live and you know, get a car and move out. But they pay rent from day one, and that rent snowballs. We raise their rent every single month because we want them to eventually want to leave in a good way. And by the time 2 years are up, it's at the real cost of living in this area. And then we bless them. If you did all that hard work, you learned money management, all of those things, we return all of their rent. I don't want it. You know, God told us to do this. He said, do it without cost. But I also know if you don't have any skin in the game,
sure,
that's not going to work. You know what I mean? And so we make them pay rent, but that becomes the reward if they graduate. And so they leave with thousands of dollars that they earned to get their wheels, to get their home. They get to take their bedroom front, the bed, desk, dresser, chair, that whole front. They get to take that with them, and they're launched like sons and daughters. We do a whole weekend to honor each one where they're at. And then as they graduate and they go off in life, every time we launch a new one graduates, we invite all the former graduates come back and be part of blessing this young man or this young woman as they leave to go off into the world. And we're creating a family. For some, it's an extended family, it's an extra, but for some, it's the only family they've known.
This is just remarkable. Thank you for what you do in the community. I know with the issues of dysfunction, there's a lot of people that just wonder and just don't know what to do, where to go. And this is a place that you go from being a teenager who has a family to being a young adult who is actually a son or a daughter being shown how to live successfully. And I really appreciate what you do for the younger community, especially who are struggling in that way, that they can be victorious and not be a victim. And this from a pastor, someone in the faith community, I am greatly appreciative of all that you and your wife and your family do.
Well, thank you. Thanks for a chance to share.
Indeed.
If you know a person or organization having an impact in our city, we want to hear about it. You can contact us at 814-944-1948 or by email at stories@joyinthecity.org.
Today's Platinum sponsor is Harry's Construction, whose motto is, if you can dream it, we can create it. Recently opening Harry's Construction Kitchen and Bath Center so you, the consumer, can see examples of the variety of services provided by the team at Harry's Construction. Regardless of the project size, Harry's team approaches each project as if it is his own home. Be sure to visit Harry's Construction Kitchen and Bath Center at 114 Main Street in Bellwood. You can also visit their website to see pictures of home improvement projects over the years. Thanks again to Harry Halk and the team for supporting Joy in the City.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
Do you remember where you were and what you were doing on September 11th in 2001? Most of us do. It was a life-changing time in our nation. To remember this event, a group of people have come together to organize a community-wide remembrance. Here is the story.
Well, thank you guys for joining me today. This is exciting as we are coming up here on the 20th anniversary of September 11th, and we have something in our area that's going to be pretty special. So first of all, as we begin, just talk to me about what that is.
Well, Troy, what we're doing on September the 11th at the Jaffa Shrine Center in Altoona is celebrating the 20th anniversary. And our theme for the program itself for this anniversary is faith, patriotism, and civic pride. And so on that very evening, with a program starting at 7 and lasting till approximately 8:45, we're celebrating a walk of honor, honoring our fire, our police, our medical, military, and religious leaders, first responders, in a walk of honor into the Jaffa Shrine Auditorium, followed by an excellent program put together by Pam, which will include various entertainment organizations here locally. And we have invited James O'Brien from the Pentagon of 2001 that very morning, was in the building when the plane struck, of course. And we've been to Shanksville, and all of us remember what took place with the World Trade Center. So our ceremonies at the Jaffa Shrine is on the basis of we are not charging any admission. There are no parking fees. It's open to the general public. We have a maximum of 3,200 seats for the public. And as a result, a committee was formed in October of last year, and we've been working monthly, almost around the clock, to put on this program for Central Pennsylvania and for our people who want to remember exactly what took place back in 2001.
So Pam, the entertainment throughout the night is quite vast. So talk a little bit about what's going to be going on during that program.
Sure. So we are thrilled to have guests joining us that are both local organizations, as Duane mentioned, but we also have national and international artists as well. We will be starting the evening off with some performances by the Altoona Youth Orchestra, which is an affiliate of the Altoona Symphony Orchestra. The youth orchestra is comprised of regional high school string players between 9th and 12th grade. And they've been working all summer on Monday evenings, practicing to perform a concert that they have themselves, but also working specifically towards performing for this event. And they actually had a piece composed specifically with this event in mind. It's a brand new piece. It is only for the youth orchestra. And we actually just found out recently that I believe the Pittsburgh Youth Orchestra wants to play it already. And it's nice because it'll have the Altoona name on it wherever it travels. So they're going to be performing several pieces. We also have Jim Worthing, who is a native but now lives in Nashville. And he's going to be performing several pieces throughout the evening. He's also potentially working on a collaboration with the Hollidaysburg Community Chorus that is going to be performing during the entirety of the Walk of Honor. We expect that that'll be 5 to 10 minutes long. They're prepping about 10 minutes worth of music for that segment, and potentially working with Jim to have a solo part in that. We also will have with us Kara O'Brien, who is the daughter of our speaker, Jim O'Brien, and she's going to perform the national anthem along with at least 2 other pieces. One is a solo, and she'll be performing one piece with her father after he speaks. We also have George Pacifico, who I'm sure most locals know, especially those who frequent the theater, and he's going to be performing Ave Maria. We have a gentleman that'll be playing bagpipes, and we also have a gentleman that's going to be performing taps at the end.
And you mentioned Jim O'Brien. Talk a bit about his background, why he was selected to be the speaker.
Well, Jim comes to us through the courtesy of Reverend Gary Dahl from Faith Baptist Church, who has had Jim here on several occasions, having just completed a large Bible conference this past week at the casino here in Altoona. And because of that acquaintance and him being affiliated with the Pentagon in 2001, having a position there working under former Secretary of Defense's Dick Cheney, Caspar Weinberg, and Colin Powell, being in the building that morning, he has traveled since 2001 around America, talking on behalf of what actually took place that day and lending a religious atmosphere to it, because most of us remember that our first responders, our fire, police, and medical, were at the World Trade Center, were at the Pentagon, and were in Shanksville. But after all that had taken place, people turned to God, they turned to prayer, they turned to faith, they turned to the religious community. And Jim is of a religious nature man himself, and that was part of his presentations as he traveled across the country. So Gary thought that it would be appropriate for us to have him for the 20th anniversary.
Now, I know that all the different efforts that are going into all this, and the night's going to be full of a variety of things, all to commemorate that what happened 20 years ago. You've been very driven, personally very driven, to do this. Talk a little bit about your passion for this.
Well, I guess it's started back in 2004 and 2005 and 2006 when we were preparing at Simpson Temple United Parish here in Altoona to hold the 50-year anniversary. And I have to lay a lot of credit to Reverend Denise Arpino, who was basically in charge of the program and inspired me to work with her in regards to the lost lives of over 3,000 people on that very day, and where it took place. And so close to us was Shanksville, only 78 miles away, and the people able to get there. And I've been there on many occasions. I've worked with the National Park Service over the last 20 years in Shanksville. And so it was on that, because I believe that it was a tragic event. We remember maybe possibly John F. Kennedy, and we remember Martin Luther King. But in today's society, how many people still remember what took place on 9/11? And the unfortunate thing of it is, and Pam talked about the Altoona Youth Orchestra, and I appeared before them and talked to them. None of those participants weren't even born in 2001. And it's our young people in our schools that need to be brought up to the attention of what actually took place on that day. We've had conversation with the Altoona Area School District as an example that maybe this is a program that needs to be brought to a certain age group within the history classes, informational classes within the school district. And hopefully when this is all over after September 11th and in the ensuing months, we can get back with the schools and see if we can't bring this to a forefront subject that they should know about and should be aware of. Yeah. And because of social media is doing an excellent job, programs such as this in regards to letting people know what's planned and it's the anniversary and things of that nature. So I just have been driven by it. As you say, it's like almost 24/7 for me.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm really eating and doing everything I can to keep this thing alive and well. And thanks to Pam, who's done an excellent job, and yourself included as part of our committee, along with Gary Dahl and our public relations director, Tony DeGaulle, from the Altoona Johnstown Diocese, is just doing a super job in publicity. Yeah. And there are other members of our committee that are working around the clock.
Okay, so you mentioned this is a free event. Do people just show up? What? How do they? Is there tickets? What?
Well, what we did was we set up 11 ticket locations. Here locally in Altoona, we have the Jaffa Shrine, which is the key venue as far as a lot of the tickets. So as a result, they're listed on the flyers that are being distributed throughout the county.
So Pam, I know you worked on the tickets. Is it necessary to have a ticket? Since it's a free event, do they need a ticket?
Yeah, they do need a ticket. Each ticket represents like a seat in that facility. So in order for us to make sure we sort of have control over the numbers, we do need people to go out and pick up a ticket. And in the same thing, we want them to know that if they go pick up a ticket and discover that they cannot make it, we're asking them to return the ticket, because we do need people to have one to get in. And if a lot of people pick them up wanting to go but decide not to, we really hate to have a lot of empty seats as a result, and people that wanted to come in unable to. So they do need to make sure they get a ticket, and they can also, if they have a big group that might want to go, because I know that the ticket outlets have limits, they can reach out and contact us maybe through our website, which is 911anniversary.weebly.com. And they can ask us if they have a group that would be interested, so we can help them secure that cluster of tickets as well.
Sure. And I'll also put on the program, I'll put the phone number for us, and if people call here, I'm sure we'll get flooded with calls, and I'll forward them all to you about tickets. But
Well,
it's important that people
yeah.
do have tickets.
Yes.
Yeah, along that same line as a typical example, you have 50 within this building here. Faith Baptist has 100 tickets that they have, and I just delivered tickets to the county courthouse and different organizations. The youth orchestra's got tickets coming, as does the Holliesburg Community Chorus, and the Altoona Community Band. We've set tickets aside, and we are delivering them. As of yesterday, I have mailed out 552 tickets to organizations that have requested a block of tickets. And like Pam points out, it's important because we don't want people standing on the front porch listening to the Altoona Community Band that's going to be performing on the front porch and not able to get in the door because we know in a mind that seat may be taken and we don't have a seat for them.
I know this is going to be a great event. We've been working for a long time on all the details, and it's amazing for a single night's event how many details you have to go through to pull this together. And the fact that we were able to do this free, I hope our community really jumps on board. This isn't a free event where it's low quality. It's just a free event because of all the sponsorships and the community support that it allows it to be free, but it's going to be a very high quality event, and I encourage our community to get involved.
Well, the thing of it is, I also want to mention that we have a reception for our corporate sponsors at 5:30 that evening under the chairmanship of Judy Hancock. Our first responders are all cooperating. Our police are going to be on Broad Avenue directing traffic. Our fire companies are putting the ladder trucks up with the giant flags. We have a giant American flag for a backdrop on the battens at the Jaffa Shrine for the screen. So there's a lot of involvement by a lot of people doing behind the scenes work that you wouldn't even think about.
It's going to be a great event.
It is. It really is.
Thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Troy.
That's all the time we have today. Thanks for watching Joy in the City True Stories, and let me encourage you to watch other episodes of people and organizations having an impact on our community on ABC 23 at 5:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. every Sunday. You can also catch us each week on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Until then, be encouraged because God is moving in our city.